Elon Musk likes to ask one particular question when he's interviewing people for a job. And he says that question is, tell me about a time you had a difficult problem to solve and how did you go about solving it, to paraphrase him. Let's kind of first, before we go into how to answer that question, let's look at Elon Musk and the strategies that he's employed and that's made him so incredibly successful. Obviously, Elon Musk is a highly intelligent person and a phenomenal engineer. But the other thing that Elon Musk does in his businesses, he follows a strategy that's more or less a second mover advantage. So what Elon Musk does is he says, okay, the technologies weren't there for this idea, but they are now. So I'm going to implement on a failed idea of the past and now bring it forward to the future as a success. Now you can see this with the electric car. The electric car, the first one was built in the 1830s. However, at the time, obviously, the electric car had almost zero battery life and had many other issues. And as a result, they didn't appear for 200 years later. But when everybody thinks about the electric car, everyone thinks about Tesla. And they don't think about the 200 years of failed attempts at the electric vehicle. My personal favorite, though, is the Starlink system that Elon Musk has created. The reason Starlink is my favorite is because it's built based upon the old failed teledesic system of 1990. So teledesic system had a system that they were developing very similar to Starlink. However, at the time, it was massively expensive to get anything into space, which Elon Musk solved with SpaceX. So he brought the price of getting something into space down from $10,000 per kilo down to $1,600 per kilo. And a kilo is about 2.4 pounds. And these satellites weigh usually around 100 to 200 kilos. So that's a phenomenal price difference. Additionally, Elon's satellites cost about $200,000 a piece with the Starlink system compared to $20 million for the teledesic system. So Elon's overall cost is 1/30 of what teledesic was trying to put into orbit. And as a result, the Starlink system has already shown a profit as of 2023. So phenomenally successful idea, tried in the past and failed, but that's what Elon Musk is great at. Finally bringing the technologies together to get the ideas that were not viable in the past forward now in the future. Across Tesla and his other organizations, there's about 140,000 employees, which is a phenomenally large number of employees. Think about that growth, the massive amount of growth he's had to sustain. So Elon Musk actually has to be one of the best hiring managers in the world in order to sustain and achieve this growth. I think the greatest example we saw of Elon Musk's ability to do HR was with the purchase of Twitter. It initially looked like that was the biggest mistake anyone's ever seen anyone make. He went into that company, there were 7,500 employees. He brought with him 50 engineers from Tesla that had no prior experience working at Twitter or a company like that. And they brought the headcount down to 1,300 employees. And the company still runs at least as well as it did prior to that headcount reduction. So you can see Elon Musk's 50 Tesla engineers are like supermen that he's hiring. Now let's go back to that initial question where Elon Musk says he's asking people, tell me about a time you had a difficult decision and how did you come about solving that problem? If we're looking and going into strategy, the reason this is such a great question is because it kind of brings out all the elements that you really want to learn as an interviewer about that employee prior to hiring them. The first thing you want to know is this person a leader? The second is about their decision-making skills. And the third is their ability to adapt and change and grow as a human being. This question, if you're very good at probing, you can draw all three of those out in the person's answer. For our purposes, we don't want Elon to work that hard if we're trying to get a job with him. So what we want to do is we want to kind of guide him through the project that we worked on to make it so that he's actually rather excited to hire us and we win the job. We're going to go through a 5-step process. The first step is we're going to identify the role that we played, what the problem was, and what position do we have? Were we a team leader or some other subordinate on that project? Where did we kind of fit into the mix? The second piece is before we make any type of decision, we need to begin analyzing data. So we need to figure out what data we have that we can look at, what data we need to get, what things we need to look at from the outside space. Those are all very important elements of the step 2 process. Step 3 is you're basically coming to a consensus as to what the solution is with the group that you're meeting with. But as part of that, you also need to look at what your blind spots are. You had your data in step 2, but what did your data not really tell you that you conclusively could answer in step 3? Now, step 4 is you're actually implementing the solution. Did the solution work? Did you have a rocket launch that blew up on the launch pad and had to go back to step 1 and try it all over again? And that's why this was a particularly challenging project. Remember, Elon Musk had to do that many times in his career. You know, if you worked on something that was particularly challenging, it would not be that uncommon for that project not to succeed the first time around. So if that occurred, don't be embarrassed about it. Make sure you bring it up. In the 5th step, you're going over what you learned in that 5th step and how you could apply it to other areas of that business. And if so, was it applied? What you learned from it? And then what would be the next step to improve that process or whatever project you worked on? Like at first the booster rockets landed, and then now the whole rocket lands itself too. Think about those processes, and that's how I would approach the interview with Elon Musk. Elon, that's you on the phone? You want to try me out for an astronaut position? That sounds great. Let me ask my wife first.